Hello, friends. Welcome back. This is Dr. Rahul Kamath from Arsa Medica, and today we will be discussing Angelina Jolie in the form of a medical astrological case study. But before that, you might want to check out my disclaimer here. I am a medical doctor, I'm an allopathic medical doctor who fully believes in the efficacy of modern medicine. I'm also a Vedic astrologer, and I'm trying to combine concepts of allopathic medicine with Ayurveda, with Vedic and Western astrology, and try to throw more light about how this can be very useful for future diagnosis as well as prognosis. Okay, so with this brief background, let us go right in. Today, who does not really know um, Angelina Jolie? I mean, she is arguably one of the finest, the most beautiful, and notable among the Hollywood actresses. But what we also know is that she had a 87% risk of developing either breast, uterus, or ovarian cancer. Okay, so her mother, her grandmother, and her aunt all died because of reproductive cancer. And in 2013, she was diagnosed to have a 87% risk of developing breast cancer. So she had her both her breasts removed, what is called in medicine as mastectomy, in February 2013. Okay, so this is one thing. And also she developed early signs of ovarian cancer in 2015. So therefore in 2015 her both her ovaries and fallopian tubes were removed. Okay, so this is her clinical history, and why are we really talking about it? We want to understand this from the medical astrological perspective. Could this cancer uh, can this cancer be seen in her birth chart? Uh, in other words, is it kind of something which an astrologer could have spotted in advance? The fact that she is well today after surgery, there is no obviously known mortality, or she's still hale and hearty. She's been acting in a few films as well. She's an active ambassador at the United Nations, which means that we also want to understand how come she is protected from this despite her surgery and despite the magnitude of her illness. So a couple of things we want to identify today. Um, so as I said, some questions for us. Can we pinpoint the organ involved? Can we pinpoint the fact that her breasts could have developed cancer? Uh, if if they were not removed, they would have developed cancer as per allopathic risk prognosis. Okay, can we see that risk in that organ? Is the hereditary aspect of the cancer seen in the horoscope? So we know allopathically speaking that she had the BRCA1 antigen or BRCA1 gene in her body, which basically made it high risk. Can that be seen in her chart in one of her horoscopes? The fact that she became well after surgery, can that also be seen? Because there are very many patients who will not survive, who will succumb to cancer. And another aspect is that if she had not been operated preventively by removing her breasts, would she then have developed breast cancer as per the original risk? Can that be seen? And can we actually look at some time frames here in this discussion? And is this cancer likely to recur in the future, in the immediate forthcoming future? So we would want to explore these questions today as a part of this presentation. Now, obviously, when we go into this, we will be doing a detailed analysis of her uh, what we call the Janma Kundali or the Rashi Kundali, the D1 chart, the Navamosh Kundali, the D9 chart, as well as several Varga Kundalis. Okay, we will be looking at D3, we will be looking at D12, okay, for familial transmission aspects. We will be doing a traditional medical astrological workup, okay, with respect to certain houses in the chart, what we call the 6, 8, 12 houses and some other medical astrological parameters. And very specifically, we will be looking for reproductive system significators. So in this case, if we are looking at the breasts, we are looking at the ovaries, the uterus. Obviously, we are looking at Venus. Then probably we are also looking at Uranus, since it also stands for the pituitary gland. We are looking at Neptune here to some extent. We are looking for um, Cancer significators like Jupiter and Rahu, because Jupiter is indicative of growth, but Jupiter with Rahu is indicative of uncontrolled growth, these kind of factors. We'll be looking at some other planets which are very malefic in this case, such as Mercury. Okay, so more of that a little later, as well as we'll be looking at her certain dasha periods with respect to disease, okay, and cure. So now let's kind of dive in the chart here. You have in front of you here basically a snapshot from Parashar's Light, the D1 chart. Angelina Jolie was born in 1975, 4th of June, 9:06 a.m., Los Angeles, California, USA. Now, if you look at the chart, it's a Cancer ascendant, and ascendant lord is Moon. Moon is in the ninth house, okay, in Revati, nakshatra of Mercury. Now you notice Venus is in a pride of place in the Lagna. Venus is in Lagna, and you notice also further that Venus is in Lagna in several divisional charts, which actually also shows the nature of her profession, the nature of her personality. Venus here is in Pushya nakshatra, which is a Saturn's nakshatra, and also notice here that in the second house, which is the Maraka Sthana of the Kundali, you have Gulika, which is in the nakshatra of Purva Falguni, which is a Venus nakshatra. So you have already here a Venus which is affected, kind of in a sense troubled here in the D1, indirectly, because Gulika will is corrupting the Venus influence here at one level immediately. Now, if you look at a Cancer Lagna, the Badhaka Sthana is the 11th house. So the Badhakesh is again Venus. But again, Venus being in Pushya, which is a very auspicious, nurturing nakshatra, is somebody which is giving a propensity of maybe some kind of a disorder, disease, trouble, but at the same time, which is also in a way having a protective influence on the body, being placed in the Lagna. Okay, so this is one aspect here immediately. Now, if you look at her other things, one is that in the Cancer Lagna, the Raja Yoga Karak planet is Mars, because it is 10th lord as well as 5th lord. So Mars here is in the 9th house, again in Revati, which is a Mercury nakshatra, along with Jupiter. Jupiter is also in Pisces in the 9th house. So Jupiter here in Pisces in the 9th house, obviously it has a mixed, from the medical astrological perspective, it has some significance, but overall it is good for her because it is having a direct 5th aspect on the Lagna. Okay, notice here that you have Jupiter, Moon and Mars all in Revati, which is a Mercury nakshatra. Okay, now I want to quickly go to the 6, 8, 12 analysis, because a lot of this will start making a lot of sense to you when we start discussing at that level. Now the 6th lord, 6th house is the house of disease. The 6th lord is Jupiter. Jupiter is in Mercury's nakshatra in the 9th house, already spoken about. Now the Bhavat Bhavam sign of the 6th house is the 11th house, where you find Mercury. The lord of the 11th house is again Venus, but Mercury is in the 11th house. Okay, it is in the nakshatra of Mrugashirsha, which is a Mars nakshatra. Notice Mars is in Mercury nakshatra, Mercury is in Mars nakshatra. So there is a nakshatra parivartana yoga, or a nakshatra exchange yoga here, Mars and Mercury actively collaborate in certain ways, and we will be looking at that also. What way? Okay. Uh, Specifically for this chart, in what way, which is adverse for the health of Angelina Jolie. Now, the eighth lord here is Saturn, because you find Aquarius there. Saturn is in the 12th house. So, the lord of eighth in the 12th house, not good from the health perspective. It is a kind of a Viparita Rajayog though. So, in the long run, it will not fully devastate her, but it is obviously a challenge for her, because 8th lord is in the 12th house. Now, Saturn in the 12th house is in the nakshatra of Punarvasu. Punarvasu being a Jupiter's nakshatra. So, you see here that the, the 8th lord is in the nakshatra of the 6th lord, and the 6th lord is in the nakshatra of the 12th lord. So here you have a 6 8 12 collaboration already afoot, which actually contributes a lot to her illness, speaking in that sense. Now, the Bhavat Bhavam of the 8th house is the 3rd house, again Mercury, which was because you have Virgo in the 3rd house. Now, just observe that for Cancer ascendant, Mercury is not a good planet, because Mercury is 12th lord as well as 3rd lord. 3rd lord is, from Bhavat Bhavam perspective, like a Mrityu Sthana. It is a house of longevity or loss of longevity. So, in that sense, the 3rd house and the 12th house are both sensitive from medical astrological point of view, and the lord of both is Mercury here, which is again in the 11th house, house of disease. Okay, so in that sense, from the Bhavat Bhavam perspective, of course. So in that sense, Mercury is also important kind of a malefic here. Now, just one additional corroborative factor, because it doesn't really, when we are studying it from the Parashari perspective, it's less relevant, but I am very tempted to talk about this. If you see below in the birth chart, there is a small table there in which you have the third column from the right side says K7. These are the Karakas of Jaimini. And you see here Mars as the Nyati Karaka, GK. GK is Nyati Karaka, which is the Karaka of disease from the Jaimini Jyotish perspective. So therefore Mars also is, in a sense, an accomplice in disease here. And therefore you see Mars and Mercury collaborating kind of actively. Now, there is a concept of Anurakta Graha in Jyotish, which means that a planet which is called the central planet of past life. I won't go into the details. It is basically the planet which is the lord of the 6th nakshatra from the birth nakshatra. In this case, it is Mars again. So you have Mars again playing an important role additionally. Okay. Now, two more factors before we maybe change this slide. One is that there is something called as the 22nd Dreshkan. So here, the 22nd Dreshkan lord, which is basically a Saturn here. Okay, 22nd Dreshkan again is something to do with the 8th house. The Dreshkan of the 8th house corresponding to the Dreshkan of the Lagna. Okay, so I will not go into further details. But here in this case it is Saturn, and the 64th Navamaush, which is basically the Navamaush corresponding to the moon's longitude in the 8th house from the moon, and the lord of that Navamaush. So in this case that's a Pisces Navamaush, and the lord is therefore Jupiter. So you have a 64th Navamaush which is Jupiter, and you have a 22nd Dreshkan which is Saturn. Now these are very sensitive attributes of medical astrology which also indicate disease. Incidentally, Jupiter, which is our 64th Navamaush, is also the 6th lord. Saturn, which is the 22nd Dreshkan, is also the 8th lord. Okay, and you notice here Rahu is in the nakshatra of Anuradha in the 5th house. Now Rahu also happens to be a kind of a important planet for Aquarius, which is the 8th lord here, or 8th house here, because Rahu is Mula Trikon in Aquarius, and Rahu is also in the nakshatra of the lord of the 8th, which is Anuradha. Shani, and nakshatra being Anuradha. Okay, so it is often said in Jyotish that Shanivat Rahu. Okay, so therefore Rahu and Saturn will act in a certain similar way in this Kundali, particularly from the health perspective. Okay, notice also that Uranus here is in the fourth house in the D1 in Chitra, being a Mars nakshatra, and Mars has a direct eighth aspect on Uranus. Notice that Mars has an eighth aspect on Uranus. So again, a kind of not a particularly good thing. And Mars also has a direct fourth aspect on the 12th house on Saturn. Correct. So and Saturn has a 10th aspect on Mars. So you have Saturn and Mars which are mutually aspecting each other in the D1 chart. Okay, so this is an important point to note. Also Mars has a direct aspect on the third house, okay, which also is connected with the eighth house in a way. So these are some of the observations from the D1. Neptune happens to be in the fifth house. Neptune in the fifth house indicates something to do with past life, something we will speak a little bit more about this in detail here, because obviously this has to do with some transmission from past life because of a hereditary nature of the disease partly. Now, in the D9 chart, which is on the side of this, it is more corroborative, additional, supportive of D1 factors. Again, you find the fifth house, but you find Mars, Moon, Neptune there. So the Mars Neptune in the same Navamaush is somewhat significant from the malefic perspective. Rahu is with Mercury. Now Mercury is Rahu. We already saw the malefic aspect of Rahu in this chart. So Rahu Mercury together in the second house of D9 is not good for sure. And so these are the few of the factors which you immediately see here. Although Jupiter is aspecting the Lagna as in D1, here it is the seventh aspect. So therefore Jupiter, although being malefic for the disease, also sort of in some sense protects her, because she got the buddhi, or she got the wisdom of getting operated early, and she became healed and all that. More of that later. Okay. Now to recapitulate what we just spoke, quickly. Already this is in front of you. I will not go over it once again. I'll just allow you a few seconds to read this. Now, just one additional factor here which I have not mentioned earlier. Sun is the Matru Karaka. The Jaimini Matru Karaka is the sun, and Matru Karaka is the Karaka of the mother. And you will see why this is significant here, because this uterine, ovarian, breast cancer risk has been inherited from her mother. Okay, so who was actually incidentally a French actress, I believe Marceline Bertrand. Now, when we look at D9, I want to go a little bit deeper now. We already saw now, by this time, you have seen what this Kundali is about from D1 perspective. But when you look at now D9 in more detail, you notice that the sixth and the eighth, lords, basically sixth house lord is Jupiter, but Jupiter is in Aquarius Navamaush. Okay, so which is a fixed airy influence. So the nature of the influence of Jupiter, what is the nature of the Graha influence, is a fixed airy aspect. Okay, so which means, which in a sense is airy, has to do with maybe tissues also. It has to do with overall metabolism in a sense. Venus is in in the 11th house lord is Venus in the Leo Navamaush, which is a fixed fiery. Correct. So you see the fixed airy and a fixed fiery influences in the 6th and the 11th house. You see the color also is, I have made a separate color for that. So the nature of the disease was sort of fixed and fiery. There was a bit of inflammation there. There was some amount of diffuse kind of a swelling, diffuse because of airy, some inflammation because of fiery maybe. Now you look at the 8th house, Lord is Saturn, and the Navamausha, it is in the Taurus Navamausha. again, which is a fixed earthy here. Third house, which is a bhavam of the eighth house, you have Mercury in Virgo Navamaush, which is a mutable earthy sign. Mutable is a changing sign, but again earthy sign. And again the 12th house is the same, Mercury, mutable earthy. So if you notice here, the 8th and the 3rd house, uh, you know, this is a very earthy, this earthy kind of a influence, a Prithvi Tattva influence, if I may say so. So something to do with, something substantial, so it indicates, it could indicate a growth of some kind. It could indicate a fixed kind of a growth if untreated. So the eighth house here is the house of death or house of longevity or lack of longevity. So you have a fixed earthy thing there. So if untreated, it could have probably resulted into a growth which was fixed. One could correlate at some level. While the disease was on, it could have been in inflammation. So therefore you have a fiery aspect in the 11th house here. So just by and by, this has to do with Ayurveda in terms of the nature of the influence. Now I am going to be going into the Varga analysis in detail here, because my first and foremost objective is to localize this condition. So we know here that the breasts were going to be involved, or the breasts had to be removed incidentally before the cancer could actually manifest in them. So notice breast is Cancer here, the sign Cancer, which is in the Lagna, which also happens to be her ascendant in D1, but in D3 we are able to localize. Now here you see Mars, you see Moon, you see Venus, all in the ascendant. Okay, so which means there is an aspect of the the liquid element there. There is a fiery aspect there, and there is a Venus aspect there. So this is the inflammation of the breast tissue, including her, the mammiferous apparatus inside, that which produces milk, the whole the breast parenchyma as we call it. So this indicates here the influence or the adverse effect on the breast here. So that's one clear indication. Now look at the fifth house in the D3 chart. You have Jupiter and Rahu in basically in Scorpio. Now this is a Sarpadrishkan. A Sarpadrishkan is a concept which indicates that there will be some problem there in that organ. There will be some surgery, something serious. In fact, she did develop beginning ovarian cancer, which is why immediately her ovaries and her uterus and tubes were removed in 2015. So this is indicative. The fifth house here, again 8 Scorpio indicates the genitourinary area, the uterus. Very, very telling. Okay, now so this is kind of pretty clear really. Now notice here that the Mars is also having the 8th aspect on Saturn here, which is the Lord of the 8th sitting in the 8th house. Okay, so that is also a clear part. And Mercury is in Saturn's sort of area. Okay, so you see that aspect there. Neptune in the 9th house is in Pisces. Would that have something to do with lymphatics? Perhaps yes. Because lymphatics get affected in breast when there is a breast involvement. Perhaps yes. Okay, so these are some of the observations from the D3 chart. Now let's go to the other two important charts. One, D9 and D1 we have already discussed. Now let's look at the D12 chart below, which is the Dwadashansh chart, which indicates the parental transmission. Now this is very important to understand here, that we want to know how come her mother was involved. I mean, how did she receive this gene? Can we see some indication here of that? We'll look at that. Okay, now here if you notice, this is a Leo Lagna in D12, and the Marrakesh and the 11th Lord, which is again connected with the deceased house of 6th, Bhavat Bhavam. The 11th Lord and the 2nd Lord are both Mercury. And Mercury is in the 9th house with Gulika. So Mercury is affected, it is corrupted here. So that could indicate something to do from the maternal side, because Mercury also stands for, um, it's a karaka of, of the mother's brother, kind of, or the maternal side of it, one aspect. Now Sun is the Matru Karaka from the Jaimini Karakas that we saw earlier. I already mentioned that. Now here Sun, if you notice, is sort of, in a sense, it's in the 5th house with Jupiter and Uranus. So there is an aspect of something to do with the past life here, for sure, with respect to the 5th house. But 5th house and Uranus there indicates some problem there. You notice the aspect of Mars on the 5th house. The 4th aspect of Mars on the 5th house is also significant, as well as the 10th aspect of Saturn on the 5th house. So the 5th house here in the D12 chart is affected clearly, and we can see that here. And therefore this is the wonder of astrology, that here is where this could be the indication or of some kind of the BRCA1 gene that she was carrying. Also, I mentioned to you that Mercury um, might also represent information, because information signaling in the Karaka is Mercury, and DNA is the information signaling molecule or the information containing molecule in the human body. So Mercury with Gulika would indicate some aspect, some genetic defect here as well. Okay. Now coming to D60. The D60 is mandatory to analyze, because D60 is, Parashar says that D60 is as important as D9, and therefore Shashti Ansha, which indicates basically past life. Now here you have Mars with Rahu in the 10th house. Mars again is exalted here, and Lagnesh exalted in the 10th house with Rahu. Certainly not good from the health perspective, if we look at it, as because it has the 8th aspect on the 5th house again. Notice again the 5th house is enormously corrupted because of Uranus, Neptune and Sun. These are, Neptune is actually actually a Asuric planet in a sense. From medical astrology point of view, it is Varuna. Okay, Uranus and Sun are known malefics. So in this case, and Sun is again powerful in the 5th house because it's in its own house in a way. So it again shows, here the affliction of the 4th and 5th houses. Again, Ketu in the 4th and Sun in the 5th also indicates something to do with breast as well. The 5th house indicates the past life connections from the mother, Sun being the Matru Karaka, and Gulika in the 12th. Okay, and Saturn in the 2nd house with the 10th aspect on the 11th house, Jupiter, Mercury together. So you see some connections there, correct? So I am going to quickly recapitulate this here. Notice I have already spoken about most of these things. So if you have gone through this now, I will proceed. Now, she was operated in March, April of 2013. We do not know the exact operation date. The information I have is from the internet. This is a screenshot of a website called Medicine Net, and this was a article sometime in I believe in April or May of 2013. Okay, Angelina Jolie's May 2013 announcement, it says here. So she had done a double mastectomy, as this shows here. If you notice here, it says also that her mother had breast cancer, and she died of ovarian cancer at the age of 56. Okay. So here, now here, if you look at the second information, that she had her ovaries and her tubes removed in March 2015. So within like 2 years, she got operated again immediately. Okay, which we know. Incidentally, in 2016, she filed for divorce from Brad Pitt. Okay, so because of her Venus, obviously her seventh house was very badly affected. Also because Venus is the natural karaka of the seventh house. So in that sense, also I think this whole thing impacted her very badly. Now let us look at, can we time this from the dasha perspective? This will be like really the icing on the cake. We need to find out whether the dashas actually show us that this surgery, why it happened, when it happened. Now, if you notice here, there are three columns. The left column is the broad dasha, larger picture in terms of larger timelines. The upper row is Vimshottari, the second row is Yogini. Okay, Yogini is very vital and very useful for medical astrology. So I am using Yogini as well. Now, uh, the second column is for her double mastectomy in April 2013, and the third column is for her ovary and tube removal in March 2015. So the dashas at that time. So if you notice here, I'm starting with the Vimshottari discussion. Her Venus dasha was running from 1995 to 2015. Okay, and in that Venus dasha, all these things came up for obvious reasons, which we already discussed. Now, as of first of March 2013, she was running Venus, Mercury, Mars. Okay, so basically Venus, again, I already discussed Mercury, her 12th lord, her her third house lord as well, and Mars. Now Mars here indicates surgical intervention. Mars also is her yoga karak planet, remember. So therefore it will be healing for her, it will be therapeutic for her. In a way, it will be yoga karak for her to have this surgery. So during 1st of March 2013 to 30th of April 2014, you see Venus, Mercury, Mars. Okay, which is why this surgery happened then. Had she waited till May of 2013, you find that Venus, Mercury, Rahu would have started and the disease would have become exacerbated, or maybe she would have developed cancer. Okay, now let's look at the same thing, same incident from the Yogini perspective. Now, she was running her Saturn Yogini from 2010 to 2016. Okay, Saturn is called Ulka, so it was the Ulka Yogini that she was running, and here you have, now look here, from the 21st of February 2013, if you can see the the table in between below Yogini, below double mastectomy, you see Saturn, Rahu, Saturn till 14th of May 2013. So now this is very telling, because Saturn is 8th lord, Rahu is in Saturn's nakshatra, remember. Saturn is in the 12th house, also we know, and you have again Saturn Bhukti or Pratyantar Dasha. So Saturn, Rahu, Saturn also is indicative that the same things, we get additional corroborative evidence. In addition to Vimshottari, we get it from Yogini here. Saturn is called Ulka in Yogini, Rahu is called Sankat. So you have in Ulka, Sankat and Ulka Yogini, she was operated for double mastectomy. Now Vimshottari, let's go to the second incident, which was her ovary and uterus removal in March of 2015. Now Vimshottari, you see here that she was running till end of March, she was running Venus, Ketu, Rahu. Okay, so it was, in a sense, again, Rahu indicates here surgery. Rahu indicates also some level of pain and problem, because here this was the double mastectomy, although it seems like a big deal, removing of both the breasts, it went off well for her. She recovered very quickly out of that. But this was not that easy for her to recover, I'm sure, because this created a lot of trauma, morbidity, post-operative complications also, maybe. But in Venus, Ketu, Rahu, she had to be operated. Again, Ketu is called Kujavat Ketu, which means like Mars. So Ketu also is kind of like Mars, but Mars with a sting in the tail. So here that is corroborative. Now if you look at the Yogini below, same period, you have here probably she was operated on 14th of March or something, 14th, 15th March. We don't know the exact date, but probably between 10th March and 15th March or something like that. So it's likely that she was either operated in Saturn Mars Moon or Saturn Mars Sun. Okay, so so in any case you have Saturn and Mars. So Mars again indicates the surgical aspect of it. uh, you know um, so it is what we call Ulka Brahmari. Okay, and if it is Moon, it is Mangala, and if it is Sun, it is Pingala. Okay, so probably she was operated after 14th of March is my idea. Saturn Mars Sun was her operational period, and then slowly she started recovering after 15 days. Okay, so this is my analysis about her dashas, which actually perfectly corroborate her operations and her recoveries. Now let us, in this case, I was curious about the Krishnamurti Paddhati correlates here and their significance, because you know you see the same phenomenon when you study it from different sides. You understand it in a much better way sometimes. So this is a different methodology of Jyotish. Without getting into more details here, what I've done is, the house has a lord in terms of the cusp. Okay, the sign lord as per KP. I have mentioned in the second column from the left. Then the KP sub. The concept of sub, I will not go into what is the concept, but there is a sub which is very important, which is very vital in terms of the disease. Okay, and additional remarks column, so which will throw some light. Now the sixth house here, the cuspal sign lord is Jupiter, the sub is Moon. Now Moon here, I was a little curious what it could have meant, but Moon is also the Naisargik Matrukaraka in a way, and Moon is also although I mean her mother was a great inspiration for her, and her mother's illness made her realize her vulnerability and thereby made her willing to be operated upon. So in a sense, Moon, her mother was also, and mother was responsible also for her condition, right? Because she inherited that gene from her mother. So therefore the sixth house makes sense here. The eighth house, again, the sign lord here is the sign is Aquarius. The sign lord is Saturn as well as Rahu, because Rahu is Mula Trikona in Aquarius. The sub is Jupiter. Okay, so again you see Jupiter and Rahu is in Anuradha, again Saturn's nakshatra. So somewhere the Jupiter Saturn collaboration is seen in the eighth house clearly. Again, eighth lord is Saturn in Parashari also. Jupiter is sixth lord, so this is all related. The 12th cusp is Gemini, lord is Mercury, sub is Venus here. Venus being in Pushya. So the Venus aspect is clear, that her Venus went into decline once her breasts were removed. One could understand it in this way. In some way her marriage disappeared, or her marriage went into divorce once her breasts and her reproductive attributes were removed. It could be also understood in that way. Now the third house here, which is the mirror of the eighth house, the cuspal lord here is Sun. Okay, from KP point of view. Okay, now although you might say that it has to be Virgo as per Parashari and all, but here it's different. The sign in the third house is Leo, the lord is Sun, the sub is Saturn, and Saturn is in Guru's nakshatra. Okay, again Sun Saturn, you have this tug of war. And in the 11th house, which is the mirror of the 6th house, the sign lord is again Aries and Mars therefore, and sub is Mars. So you see the Mars aspect. So these are all the same planets, but in a different way, in a deeper way we understand the significance from KP also. So what is our conclusion? And what can we prognose for Angelina Jolie? The decision for her surgeries was certainly correct. It was very timely and it was extremely courageous. She must thank her Venus also for this, her Jupiter, her ninth house for this. She's a very brave lady, and also um, what she did is like a role. She became a role model for women all over the world who are battling with prospective breast cancer. The Sun Mahadasha from 2015 to 2021 would have been killing if she had not been operated. You know, so that was one of the questions earlier which we asked, that here Sun is her Marrakesh. So because she was operated, she was saved from this. Chance of recurrence now seems to be remote for me because the Sun Mahadasha is almost over now till 2021. She has been without disease. The next Mahadasha is the Moon till 2031, which is likely, nothing is likely to happen because Moon is in a good shape. Ninth house, well placed, uh, and also well placed in the Dvarga Kundalis. The next Dasha is Mars till 2038. Okay, is again a yoga karak planet, so we don't anticipate anything major untoward happening. And then Rahu Mahadasha, so again, which again should not be a problem for her, I feel, but she will have a gradual decline of health for sure. I would say that the Jupiter Mahadasha, which starts in 2058, and the immediate Jupiter, or rather much a little early, the Jupiter Mahadasha, the Saturn Antardasha between 2058 and 2061, these 3 years are likely to be the most difficult for her. By that time, she would already be about 83, 85. So she is likely to be struggling that time with her life. Okay. So on this note, I it's been a great pleasure to analyze this chart. uh, Angelina Jolie is one of the most beautiful, as well as one of the most famous Hollywood performers of our time. I wish her all the best for her health in the future, and for the various humanitarian activities that she is involved in. And on this note, I shall end here. If you like what I do, please like, share, and subscribe. Okay, and my email ID is mentioned below. Thank you so much, and wait for the next one.